Hey all, it's Trellwood with Rindar Gaming. For today's adventure, we're taking a look at the pet battle dungeon Gnomeregan with a full challenge mode walkthrough. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for more. To start, head to the pet area of your capital city in BFA and find Radek Fuselock if you're Horde. He is located here. Or Tizzy Gearjolt, located here, if you're Alliance. These guys give a breadcrumb quest that directs you to the entrance of the Gnomeregan instance. After the completion of the initial quest, his pet, Manapoof, will port you to the entrance of the dungeon. For this strategy, I'm going to walk through the weekly repeatable challenge mode, where you'll be unable to heal your pets. The initial quest will have you complete the dungeon in a non-challenge mode, where you can heal your pets, but every time after that will be a challenge mode. The initial quest will reward you with an ultimate battle stone and the teleport. After the completion of this weekly quest though, a repeatable quest will become available that will reward you with pristine gizmos, a currency you can use to purchase pets, like the Alarmo Doggy, and other items from Micro Zoo. Before heading that way though, make sure you have a few pets. For the strats that I use, make sure to have a level 25 of each of the following pets. First, we're gonna get a Rotten Helper. He's obtainable from the Wintervale holiday activities, or you can buy him on the Action House year-round. Father Winter's Helper is also obtainable from Wintervale and can be bought on the Auction House year-round. I also suggest picking up a Winter's Helper and making sure she's 25, also available on the Auction House year-round. The Hermit Crab, it's a wild-caught pet from Vol'dun. Scooter the Snail, a Children's Week pet that can be bought on the Auction House year-round. A Glutted Bleeder, a wild-caught pet from Nazmir. You will need 3 snails of your choice, as long as they have ooze touch, acidic goo, and dye. The Rapana whelk, the shimmershell snail, say that 3 times fast, mudshell, conch, silkbead snail, rusty snail, and the scooter the snail are all good selections here. A Zandalari Ankelrender, obtainable from the Zandalari on the Isle of Giants in Pandaria, also purchasable on the Auction House. A Coastal Scuttle, a wild-caught pet in Vol'dun. A Gulp Froglet, obtainable from Bufo on the Timeless Isle in Pandaria, or from the Auction House. A pet with a speed faster than 276, with a hard-hitting ability and stampede could be substituted here, but from my experiments, the Gulp Froglet was the most reliable. The elusive Skimmer, a wild-caught pet from Nazmir. And any pet with survivability. You also need a Ruby Sapling, a wild-caught pet from the Teldrassil Forest. The Teldrassil Sproutling, Withers, and the Eldrusian Sproutling can be substituted here if you do not have a Ruby Sapling. Withers, obtainable from a vendor on Older Darkshore for Horde or for a quest for the Alliance. The Teldrassil Sproutling, the Ruby Sapling, can also be substituted for this pet if you don't have Withers. You also need an Enchanted Torch. It's a craftable pet from the engineers skilled in Legion Enchanting from the Auction House. Icky, who's obtainable from a short quest line in Spires of Iraq, can also be bought in the Auction House if you don't want to do the quest. Foulfeather can also be substituted here, or any pet with a stampede that is faster than 294 speed will work here too. And Tinytron, a drop from Magmatron from Blackwing Descent, is also purchasable on the Auction House. The Stormstruck Beaver also works in this spot if you can't obtain a Tinytron, but Tinytron was my favorite for this strat. You will also need one more pet that has any health higher than Tinytrons. I will have a written list of these pets in the description below for you. In addition to these pets, you'll want to bring along a good selection of pets with elemental, critter, and beast abilities for your backline pets. Some I suggest bringing along are all colors of the shale hatchlings, all sproutlings, the blazing cinder crawler, brute, both phoenix hatchlings, the electrified razortooth, the ever-living spore, the fell flame, fell lasher, the frigid frostling, the giggling flame, hate spark the tiny, all your dragon hawks. I could continue on, but we have a dungeon to go to. Anyways, there's a lot of good pets for your backline. Just make sure you have a good selection to choose from. There's 8 battles where you'll need these pets, so make sure you have at least 16 backline pets available, although you probably won't need all of them. I rarely used my 3rd pet. So we're going to make our way out to the Gnomeregan instance. For the Horde, if you don't feel like making it past the 2 guards at the tunnel entrance, head to Gromgol Base Camp in Stranglethorn Vale. Use the teleporter there. Once inside the instance, make a group in the group finder and leave group. After a minute, this will teleport you outside the instance a little ways, and all you have to do is run down the tunnel to it. You won't have to fight anybody. Talk to Micro Zooks to enter the pet dungeon instance. Do not run into the actual instance like I did the first couple times. So inside, you are immediately greeted by prototype Anoyotron. His name seems to fit him very well. Take the abilities Ice Lance, Ice Tomb, and Call Blizzard on both the Rotten Helper and Father Winter's Helper. The Rotten Helper is suggested here rather than Winter's Helper or Father Winter's Helper because he has a higher power rating and hits a little bit harder than the other 2. If you don't have access to him, it is possible to sub in the other Winter Helper. So to start this fight, we're going to Ice Tomb. Then we're going to just go ahead and pass. Call Blizzard. And then we're going to Ice Lance twice. He is then going to use his shield, so we're going to pass again. We're going to use Ice Tomb again here. Then we're going to pass because you were just going to die. Here you want to bring in your Father Winter's Helper and use Call Blizzard. Then we're going to Ice Lance again. And we're going to pass. Because he will put his shield up. And there we go. Then we're going to Ice Tomb again. And we're going to refresh our Blizzard. And then we're just going to Ice Lance from here on out to kill Anoyotron. If for some reason your Father Winters does die, bring in your backline pet, give it a couple hits, he should die from there on out. Next, we're going to head down here. And we're going to start with our living Napalm. Here we're going to use Scooter the Snail, and I'm using 2 Sproutlings for my backline pets. You want to take Ooze Touch, Acidic Goo, and Dive on Scooter. On your Sproutlings, just take 2 good elemental abilities. So we're going to start off with our Acidic Goo. Make sure that's applied on him, and then we're going to dive. When we come out of the dive, we're just going to Ooze Touch the Napalm until he dies. Pretty easy fight with the Snail. So here, I always continue with my frontline pet to do whatever I can to the next 2 pets, because I'm not going to use them in another fight anyways. The 2 backline pets, I can continue to use them with more fights if I need to. So I just do whatever I can. For here, just keep everything on cooldown. Make sure that Ooze Touch is applied. Make sure the acidic goo stays up, has a 3-round cooldown. Just keep it up on there. Use dive when it's available until he's dead. And then bring in your backline pet and do what you need to with it. From here, we're going to head to the living sludge. We're going to use our Hermit the Crab, take pinch, bubble, and dive. And again, I have 2 sproutlings in my back line. So from here, we're going to start out with our dive. We're going to come in with a bubble. And then we're going to pinch. We're just going to pinch him until he dies here. And again, the back 2 pets come in. I'm just going to continue with my Hermit Crab, keep dive on cooldown and bubble on cooldown. And just use your Hermit Crab until he dies. Again, you can use whatever you want as these back 2 pets, as long as they have some elemental damage, because there is a lot of mechanicals in this dungeon. The back pets are usually pretty easy to take out. There you go. And then we're going to head on to our living Permafrost. On the Glutted Bleeder, we're going to take Scratch, Toxic Skin, and Burrow. I've got my 2 Dragonhawk catchlings in the back. You can use whatever you want as long as they have, again, a good elemental ability to them. So we're going to start out with Toxic Skin. We want to make sure we keep that buff up. And other than that, we're just going to Scratch. Lots of little hits here, but does lots of damage to him. Always like to see when they kill themselves off. Again, that ticking damage will keep going with the next pets. So again, I'm just going to use my Glutted Bleeder until he dies off, and then I'll bring in my backline pets. We're going to keep Burrow on cooldown here too. When the bleeder dies off, just bring in your backline pet. The back 2 pets are random, so they will change every time that you're in there. Super easy fight. Then we're going to head on to the door control console. And here we're going to use 3 snails. Any snail of your choice, doesn't matter what they are. I have 2 Rapana whelks, so that's what I use. You're going to take Ooze Touch, Acidic Goo, and Dive on all 3 of them. So you want to start out with acidic goo. And then you see he put that buff up there on us. That's going to hit, so we're going to dive to avoid that. When we come out of the dive, we just want to ooze touch him. And he dies off there. So if your snail dies here, you want to bring in your next snail and start off again with the ooze touch. Make sure you get the ooze touch on him. You want to dive to avoid the ice tomb damage. And start in again with ooze touch. You don't need to do acidic goo on him again if you don't. I go ahead and do it here because I have enough life left on my pet to do it. So you want to make sure you get the ooze acidic goo on them at least once. Dive to avoid the ice tomb damage. And ooze touch all else. Okay, once through the door control console here, you get to jump in this little robot thingy and crush some bombs. But the bombs do damage to your robot, so make sure you use the shield and the speed boost it gives you. Don't try killing yourself off like I try to do. Okay, when we get to the bottom here, we have the cockroach. So somewhere along the lines, I changed my pets, and we're taking the Ankelrender. We're going to take Black Claw, Haunting Party, and Leap. And here we're just going to Black Claw and Haunting Party. It should take the cockroach out. Quite possibly, we'll never even touch your Ankelrender. Again, I'm just going to use my Ankelrender to take out the backline pets here as much as I can. Probably won't get a whole lot of damage on these guys. Here's where your elemental pet will be very useful. This drilling machine hits quite hard. Done with the cockroach, and you head over to the leaper rat. At our leaper rat here, we're going to use our coastal scudder. We're going to take pinch, stampede, and bubble. And again, 2 good elemental pets in the back will do the job. Here, we're going to start out with a bubble. And we're going to head in with stampede. And when the stampede is finished, we're just going to pinch until our rat is dead. The undead round, you can just pass. There's no point in doing any damage unless you're going to use a bubble or something. And again, I'm going to use my frontline pet to kick out as much as I can of the back two pets. These elementals, even when you get the cockroach in the background or the leaper rat, usually will be able to take them out. When you get done with those guys, the bloated leaper rat comes in, and this guy is kind of a pain in the butt. So the gulp froglet with water jet, mudslide, and swarm, the elusive skimmer with scratch, stampede, and whirlpool, and you're gonna want a pet with survivability. Doesn't matter what pet it is, just needs to have survivability. And your skimmer needs to be a speed breed, so it has to be faster than this bloated rat. So we're going to start out with swarm, and then after he has the broken armor debuff, we're going to hit a mudslide, and we're going to continue with our swarm. You want to swarm until he dies. Until your gulp froglet dies. You could substitute any pet in here that has swarm and or stampede, as well as a hard hitting ability like headbutt, as long as they have a speed faster than the rat. So we're going to come in with our skimmer and we're going to straight out stampede. And you're just going to stampede until the leaper rat dies. When the leaper rat dies, he puts a debuff on the active pet, and the pet, doesn't matter how much health they have, will die. So if the backline pet, if your third pet is in there, you want to make sure you use survivability before he dies. There we go. Easy fight with those guys. Then we come up and we're going to start with our Meccano Striker here. We're going to use the ruby sapling with iron bark, thorns, and photosynthesis. And again, 2 backline pets. I like to use the shell hatchlings because they just work really well here. So we're going to use thorns, and you want to keep that up at all times. So when it has 1 round left, you want to refresh it. Then we're going to come in with our photosynthesis, and same thing, 1 round up, we want to refresh that too. Then we're going to use iron bark everywhere else here. This guy should take himself out. So we're going to refresh our thorns here. Then we're going to refresh the photosynthesis. And one of the backline pets will come in. And just keep up with the same abilities there. He will die off with probably your second pet, but he will do a little bit of damage to him too. Then we're going to head over to our tiger. Now the tiger, we're going to use withers with iron bark, poisoned branch, and photosynthesis. Again, I use the shell hatchlings in the back because they work really well. The two backline pets here are typically mechanicals, although we've got a rat here on this one too. So we're going to start out with poison branch, and then we want to keep iron bark up and photosynthesis. So when he feigns death, he's going to head to the back, but he does have that poison on him, so he will tick down. Typically, he uses his mechanical ability while he's in the back there. And when you take out this next pet, he comes back in. If you're using the shell hatchlings, make sure you keep the stone skin up on them. If they don't have that up, they do die quickly. Then we're going to head over to our wolf. And we're going to use an enchanted torch here with the abilities burn, immolation, and heat up. And again, I've got two shell hatchlings for my backline pets. So we're going to take heat up. We're going to use immolation. And then we're going to burn until the wolf dies. Yay! So we're gonna head on to the last boss here. We're gonna talk to the Shadowy Figure. He's gonna stun us and do a bunch of RP. So you may have noticed that I have an add-on that I switch in between my pet teams with. It is called Pet Teams, and I definitely recommend anybody to get it. If you pet battle a lot, it helps, especially with these dungeons. Takes a couple minutes to set up, but is very helpful in the long term. So we're gonna take Icky, Tinytron, and anybody that has more health than Tinytron does. I grab my Naxi just because I know that he has more health than Tinytron does. Anybody more than that 1800 health that he has. So we're gonna take the abilities Flock on Icky, Arcane Blast, Lightning Shield, and Fire Shield on Tinytron. Naxi doesn't matter. You can use whatever pet. So we're going to Flock here, and you can replace Icky with anybody who has a Stampede ability and is faster than the Pulverizer. So we're going to use our Fire Shield, our Lightning Shield. We almost aren't even able to get the Lightning Shield off. It's insane how much damage those reflects do to that last boss. Anyways, super easy with those pets. And that is the dungeon. So we're gonna get ourselves out of here. And I have a bonus pet battle for you guys. Once you're out here, a lot of people forget about this little pet battle. Turn it in, get your gizmo. Buy a pet, if you have enough to get one. But there's another pet battle guy over here who is a daily. His name is Bert. And I use Brute if you have him, and the Lava Crab. The other pet doesn't really matter a whole lot. But the basics of these two is they have AoE abilities, and you want to, he switches your pets in and out. It's really super annoying. But they both can heal, and they both have a pretty good AoE ability, so you kill off all the pets at the same time. So you just switch between healing and an AoE. So we use the sun ability and then photosynthesis. And the crab, we're gonna keep magma wave up. When Cauterize is on cooldown, use Cauterize. You could switch in something like the Seeing Sunflower for Brute if you don't have him. And this guy has a chance to drop the battle pet Dibbler out of his satchel. Otherwise, he just gives pet battle stuff. His horde, he's a long ways out of the way, so when I come out here for the dungeon, I always make sure I knock him out and get a chance at the pet. This fight takes almost as long as the whole dungeon does. There you go. Bonus pet battle. Yay for more pets. So that is it. Good luck with your pet battle dungeon. Hopefully you can buy some really cool pets with it. And we will see you on our next adventure. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the sub button below and the like. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Always love to hear from you guys. We'll see you next time.